apart from Dr. Gurudatta, is the best person to talk about this. I think he'll be able to, from his experience, from the vast amount of knowledge that he has, he'll be able to tell us all how acupuncture can help in improving your sleep, improving your day-to-day activities, your physiology, your psychology. So let us welcome Dr. Gurudatta. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Dr. Gurudatta has experience working in various naturopathy centers. He has worked with various amount of doctors, and then he started his own center, Anandamaya Wellness Center, which is the brainchild of Dr. Gurudatta. He's been running this center beautifully for the past 25 years, and it has successfully treated more than 10,000 patients. So I think it is an honor for all of us to listen to him. And over to you, sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Debashri. I think it's a very cold and chilly morning in Bangalore for all of us for the last few days. And we are all set for the weekend. Hope the weekend also stays a little warm and sun comes out and we'll all be more comfortable. Saying that, sun is equally very important for our quality of life. Today, the topic, as Dr. Debashri mentioned, how acupuncture can help in improving the quality of our lives. Before we get into that, I would like to start with what is quality of life. I'll not take too much of time of yours, the weekend, morning hours. So everybody will have their own agenda set for the weekend. So maybe we'll be going around for about 30-40 minutes of the thing. And followed by that, you can have all the questions you want to ask. I hope I'm audible to everybody very comfortably.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
So we'll have brief discussion about quality of life and acupuncture. And also maybe I'll touch about a few aspects based on my experience about other therapies as well, which could help and importance of quality of life. I'd like to start with the presentation. But before that, if you have any questions at any point of time, please make sure you put it on the chat box. We'll answer all of the questions. In case if there are some issues with the internet connection or power connection, power disabilities or anything which happens through the thing, you don't need to log out. We'll re-log in and get into the presentation accordingly. Just a second, I'll share my screen. Right. Let us understand this. How does acupuncture therapy improve the quality of our life? It's a simple understanding. One word, homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Homeostasis is a state of balance. Our body, mind, breath, intellect, they're all working in sync. Lot of biochemical reactions in our body. They're all working in sync right from the time we are conceived in the mother's womb till our death. So see the synchronicity, what it happens, and the balance, what it maintains. And that is the innate ability of any living organism to maintain homeostasis. Simple example is our temperature in the body. We are all warm-blooded animals, mammals, including the human being. Leave apart the other aspects of cold-blooded animals or species. Our body temperature regulates by itself based on the environmental variations. In case if there is a lot of warmth, heat, summers, we tend to drink more water and we also sweat. So thereby the temperature maintains normally within our system so that all the biochemical changes, metabolism, hormonal function of the heart, neurology, every aspect of our human being, human body is taken care. The same way, when it is in winter, for example, like today, whatever amount of water we drink, we excrete through urination and less of sweating. So we maintain the temperature again. So when the temperature is high, we sweat and normal is the temperature. But when the cold weather is there, our skin pores will close. They're not that much active like in summers to maintain the warmth within ourselves. Sometimes the temperature goes so low, maybe we have to use some, our dresses or garments in such a way that we keep ourselves warm. The skin is the main organ which is in connection with the external environment to maintain the state of balance. That's how every system of our being is in a state of balance, whether it is hormones or whatsoever it is. Just simple example, another example I would like to make it here is diabetes. The moment we eat any sugar-based food, automatically the blood sugars rise up. So when the blood sugars rise up, what happens? The signal goes to our pancreas. Pancreas is the one which secretes the hormone insulin, endocrine gland. Insulin is responsible for reducing the blood sugar to maintain. If it is not maintained above the below the certain limits, then what happens? It is excreted. So that puts a stress on the other eliminative organs, including kidneys and all those factors, all those organs which are responsible for excretion of excess glucose. So how synchronized it is, you see. The same way in a woman, menstrual cycle, how the hormones play a beautiful role through the month to progenate, to make her viable in terms of fertility and progenate. It's a beautiful creation of the whole being. So my point is to make that we have to always look at a state of balance, whether it is physical in terms of breath or in terms of mind or in terms of intellect. Then only we reach a state what is called as Anandamaya, which is the name of our clinic. So saying that, let us understand, one second. Yeah. What is quality of life? Quality of life. Most of us understand in terms of material well-being, what is quality of life. But it is not just that. So, of course, the whole world, because of our capitalist approach, or capitalism being predominantly there for last few decades, or nearly a century or little more than that, we all feel that convenience in life, comfort in life is the quality of life. But I would like to share that, and most of the intellectuals, scientists, everybody would think that it is not just mere financial or material well-being which determines the quality of life. It is several other factors also, as portrayed in the picture. You can see that they are also contributing towards the well-being or quality of life being optimal. Actually, quality of life is something which is not really measured on a day-to-day basis for any human being. I would rather suggest that we should look forward for such things, wherein quality of life is assessed for every person, and we should take some steps to make sure the quality of life is optimal or standardized and maintained to a certain extent. Based on several factors, it has to be determined. But unfortunately, even today, there is a lot of work which needs to be done to understand what exactly are the parameters which is responsible for determining the quality of life, how to measure the quality of life, what makes the quality of life, the same, or what determines and how to measure, how to maintain quality of life. Even today, WHO's definition for QOL, quality of life, short form of that, is an individual's perception of their position in the life, in the context of the culture, in their life, in the context. I have to in the life. So you'll have to understand perception of their position in the life, in the context of the culture in which they live and in relation to their goals, expectations, standards, and concerns. So this is a partial definition, I would say. Still, a lot of work needs to be done, how to understand and the quality of life, and how to measure and how to maintain it. So even today, quality of life is, there is several questionnaire. How do we measure is, there is some questionnaires to measure the quality of life. And usually it is done in most of the medical research to understand any kind of treatment or intervention or any kind of social well-being, or what all factors which determine our health of a human being, is assessed by their questionnaire. By that, we can understand that quality of life is determined mostly, is understood mostly by very subjectively, not objectively. We can't put an objective. What is quality of life for me may not be quality of life for you. For example, during festivals or during any other occasion, just today morning when I was having a treatment with one of my patients, we were just discussing, talking about this. She made a very valid point, telling that a guy, a human being living probably in slums, many a times has more level of happiness than a person having everything for basic necessities, living in a good home. Isn't it very relevant? It's so important that it tells that quality of life is more to do with contentment, happiness, rather than anything else. And how do we achieve that? For that, material well-being, financial well-being, as it has been mentioned, a good work, which is accomplished feeling should be there at work, and health, a balance and a good state of health in terms of all the parameters, all the organ functioning in our system is taken care in a state of balance. That is also very important for quality of life. Social relationships. Just imagine the pandemic. What has happened to all of us? During this pandemic, due to the lockdown, you all would have understood how kids have felt not going to school, how the job class or the people, elders, adults going to job are unable to go and have a social relationship while working or any other means. So it's so important to have, we have overlooked many a times the social relationships, or we have taken it for granted. But now we can understand, because of the episode of the pandemic, how social relationships have been affected to a large extent the quality of life. And that quality of life, when it goes down, automatically our health also goes down, immunity becoming lower, lot of vital parameters becoming upset, and that homeostasis is not maintained, and which makes us more prone to disease. Isn't that true? So it is very important for us to understand social relationships are also equally important for quality of life to be optimal. Emotional well-being. Emotions play the highest role, I would feel, in terms of our quality of life being good. See, I can be happy with a small TV. I can be happy with a Nokia old phone, but I won't, right? Probably it is all my desires, my emotional attachment, and comparative and peer pressures. All those aspects also come into picture. Emotional well-being contributes most, in my opinion, towards the quality of life. Because if our emotions are not at the state of balance, we are generally not responding, we are reacting. Most of the time, we are reacting. So when we are reacting, it's a heightened emotion. When the heightened emotions are there, automatically there are a lot of changes within our biological system. So that can lead to quality of life, or the disease process to start, and quality of life going down. So it is very important. Simple example in terms of traditional medicine itself, when there is a lot of anger, what usually happens? We understand that every emotion has a connection with the organ system in our body. In traditional medicine, how that can contribute to our quality of life? It was directly proportional. For example, if anger is excessive, and a lot of us have anger management issues today. So that anger, whether you express it or you suppress it, it is there for various reasons. Let us not discuss about that now. That will directly affect our liver. in terms of TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. So liver is responsible for what? It is responsible for detoxification. It is responsible for our all the biochemical changes in the body, all the chemical reactions in the body, metabolism which happens, lot of protein formation, excretion of unwanted inhalations, what we do, the pollutants what to get into the body, the pollutants would get into your through our food, water and air, and all this metabolic work, it is called the chemical factory of our body. And in terms of traditional medicine, liver is responsible for smooth flow of energy in all over the body. We call it as chi or prana. So each emotion has an impact on different organs of our body. One simple example I gave is about anger having an impact on the liver aspect. Fear has an impact on the kidney. Won't we understand many a times that fear can cause a lot of issues? Suddenly, maybe I have not experienced this. Sometimes I have the stage fear. So what happens is, before presenting, before talking to an audience, we generally feel like, let me go empty my bladder or empty my bowel. What exactly happens there? Because the fear of the outcome, how I would present. So it has having a direct impact on the kidney system. Elimination. It is the water element in terms of 5 elements. So see how each emotion has a connection with an organ, and on a long-term basis, when the organ becomes deficient or not normally functioning, as I mentioned, like homeostasis, it can have a heightened emotion. Heightened emotion can have an impact on the organ. It's a vicious cycle. Many a times, most of the patients, when they come, we have to have a detailed consultation, is what we do, almost 45 minutes to 1 hour, sometimes 1.5 hours also, to understand all the emotions. Where is it coming? Even yoga philosophy talks about all kinds of diseases today, especially including infective diseases because of bacteria and virus, is all linked to our mind. Probably we can do another different webinar to understand how that happens, but it is all linked to the mind. So emotional well-being is so important for our quality of life, to maintain our health. And also, as I mentioned, quality of life is so much of a subjective feeling. And contentment, so contentment, where does it come from? Emotional well-being. So we need to work on our emotional well-being. What all tools are required to maintain that emotional well-being? Maybe sometimes talking to a therapist, counseling, yoga, so that our emotions are at homeostatic state, and acupuncture, massage, all these factors. Even good food is also responsible for emotional well-being. So emotional well-being is equally important for quality of life. Next, quality of our environment. The way we have an environment, maybe family environment, work environment, all those factors also becomes very important. A situation of heightened emotions at home will always make us feel unhappy, imbalanced, that homeostatic state is not there. Emotional well-being is not maintained because of the quality of environment is not good in our surroundings, maybe at home, family, or at work, wheresoever it is. So that will constantly have a little bit of itch in our mind, which can have a direct impact on the quality of life. So we should make sure, as head of the families or part of our families, that the environment where we live is very conducive, calm, peaceful, and happy. That happiness is very important. I would feel women by nature, they're very having a great quality of nourishment. That's why women is, even today, even though whatsoever is happening about women in the world that's living apart, they are the root for any family. If they are good and if they are strong, I mean, it is generally understand, it is my understanding as well, that emotional well-being, women are more stronger than men. I'm not making any kind of gender bias, being gender bias. I'm trying to portray the importance of each one, each of the genders. So women, when they are strong and when they are emotionally strong and good enough, it will building a lot of happiness. The environment at home is very important. And if they come at the workplace, they have equal contribution of maintaining that happiness around, because of their quality of nourishment. That's why quality of environment is important, not in terms of emotions. At the same time, physical environment also, quality of air, lot of plants, greenery around, good sunlight, good air quality, ventilation, they're very, very equally important. Just imagine during the pandemic time, one of the statements given by WHO was, or most of the health ministries of the countries were talking about, stay, if you have mild infection of COVID, stay indoors, take necessary precautions, take medication where required, and have good air and light in the room where you're isolated. See how important it makes us to understand that environment where we live, it is not just the emotional environment, physical environment is also equally very important. So that's the reason we have to care for environment as well. Where required, how much is required. Simple example in Bangalore today is last 1 week, the sunlight has been very dim. You can feel how emotionally we are not, going out to do our activities very in terms of complete being ourselves there, giving our 100%. So every aspect of the environment is very equally important. One day the water is not good, the water on the tap is not coming, how it can affect our quality of life, you see. For example, the flush is not working in our commode, what happens? So environment is so important in what we live, both physical and emotional. Next thing is personal safety. Personal safety, you should feel safe at home. You should feel safe at work. You should feel safe at your own localities, communities. Then only we feel that homeostatic state is there. Otherwise, in the pandemic, always there was a fear, low grade fear. When the infection may come to me, what will happen to my family? What will happen to my community? If everyone is infected, who will take care of us? There is isolation coming into picture. So more than the pandemic fear, the safety fear was much higher, which was actually contributing to reduce the immunity of a person and actually getting into an infective victim of the pandemic. Isn't that right? What we have experienced. So that is how personal safety is also very important. Apart from that, safety at home is very, very important. Abusiveness in terms of physical, emotional, or verbal abuse also makes us very, very unsafe, and it can lead to quality of life going down. Next, maybe one of the last ones to discuss about quality of life today is belongingness. You should feel belonging, because human being, like many other mammals and species, is a social being. Social being belonging is very, very important. How I mentioned about social relationships, belonging also. If I don't feel belonging, maybe to my parents, my spouse, my co-workers, my siblings, my kids, then I'll feel I'm left out. The loneliness comes into picture. That loneliness over a period of time can lead to anxiety, depression, fear, and the quality of life. The homeostasis of emotional being and the physical being just drops down. These days, we all feel belonging is one of the major factors, very underlying factor, which many times we may not recognize what it is, how it is contributing to our quality of life and health, but that is one of the major factors we have to have. We'll all understand this when we don't have the belonging, but many a times we become taken for granted that belonging is there, and we overdo or overstep in our relationships and claim our positions, which is also counterproductive. That also we should not. We should know in any relationship there is a fence where you have to cross, where you should not cross, irrespective of the kind of relationship, whether it is spousal relationship, parental relationship, or kids and parents relationship, whatsoever it is. That belongingness, little excess, is also going to make a kind of obsession, a kind of your freedom of thought is being hurt also, or restricted, comes into picture when belonging becomes too much. So a balance there also, homeostasis is very important even in the state of belonging. Last one, financial material well-being. I have spoken about it by and large, but we all understand that is also equally important. Work is related to that. Work is one which brings in the financial and material well-being. So they both are equally important when compared to all the aspects: health, social relationship, emotional well-being, quality of environment, personal safety. All of them take equal place in quality of life. So I hope with this, you must have all have understood what is quality of life. So let us understand further how acupuncture can help in terms of quality of life. First of all, let us understand what is acupuncture. Most of the participants here know about acupuncture, I believe, but I would like to have a few minutes to talk about what is acupuncture so that we can relate what is acupuncture and quality of life. And one of the reasons why we have acupuncture therapy to link to quality of life is the reason that it's one of the holistic therapies, just like yoga, Ayurveda, and homeopathy, and all this naturopathy. All these medical systems are focusing not just on disease management but also well-being, homeostasis. That is the goal of it. Unfortunately, modern healthcare system is mostly based on disease management than health management. So that's why acupuncture becomes important, because it not only manages therapeutic way disease management, at the same time it improves the health as well. We'll come to the details of that little later in the next two slides. But what is acupuncture? As you can see in the picture, our bodies are understood to have what is called as chi, prana in terms of traditional Indian language. In terms of Chinese medicine, we call it as chi, qi. Qi is nothing but it's invisible, but it's just like the air. We breathe air, we feel it, but we can't see it in our naked eyes. Same way, prana or chi is also something which flows in our body, which is not visible to our naked eyes. But we can tamper with it, we can work on it to balance or to imbalance as well. And that is supposed to flow in different pathways. We call that as meridians. And when there is a balance in the flow of chi by different in all the meridians, then there is health. An imbalance in the flow of chi or prana leads to disease, is what is understanding in terms of traditional Chinese medicine. We also need to understand that excessive flow of chi, deficient flow of chi, or stagnation, if it is not flowing properly, all can cause diseases. So we try to understand during a consultation whether someone is having excess, someone is having deficient, or stagnation leading to deficiency. We try to understand through different parameters and diagnostics method in terms of tongue diagnosis, pulse diagnosis, and working on the lifestyle, how their lifestyle they are leading, and those imbalances is what we go to correct. So that is how acupuncture becomes holistic, not just the disease management. So very fine needles are inserted on these meridians, which have what is called as acupoints. Those are the points which are placed on the meridians. We all learn anatomy and physiology to understand where the pathway runs, which is more than 5,000 or 6,000 years old, what our ancients have understood and put it on to the paper and transferred the practice of this throughout these many centuries. So what happens with that is we insert very fine needles into the acupuncture point, either to boost the energy if it is deficient, or move the energy when it is stagnant, or reduce it, bring it to a state of balance when it is excess. So we can feel when we put the needle how and what the energies are. So that comes into picture only by a lot of practice, lot of awareness and understanding of this. And modern science has also accepted acupuncture to a large extent, mentioning that wherever these acupoints are there, they're all nerve junctions. So when we put a needle there, automatically it has an effect on our nerves, so the brain, so on the blood vessels in the surrounding structure, reduce the inflammation, improve the health of the local area. That's how modern science has understood. One simple example I would like to share here is, of course, this case I wanted to discuss today and talk to you about this. This gentleman, he is suffering from renal failure. He's suffering from severe diabetes and hypertension. So he came to me only for quality of life to be improved. In the sense, general health and well-being. He knows that a lot of things cannot be reversed now. So because he had to go to hospital, and he also had a open heart surgery for his ischemic heart disease. So after the surgery, because there was some injury to one of the nerves, because the IV drips and all which was being given, he had a lot of numbness in his fingers, in the couple of fingers in his right palm. So I started working on a few points to improve the numbness and get back his sensation. You won't believe, within 3 sittings, his sensation was back by 50%. I just use the points around that channel where the nerve passes, and it also happens coincidentally. That is one of the acupuncture points. Why I'm saying this is because all these acupoints, our ancients have formed it, or found it, discovered it, are nerve junctions in our body. Today, we are able to say, because of our technological advances in terms of investigations through MRI, PET scans, X-rays, blood tests, and all those things. Those days, nothing was there. Still, they were able to find out. So that is what acupuncture is all about, how it will help. And let us go to the next one. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. See, here you can see one of the pictures tell how the meridians run in the body. So many meridians are there, about 14 meridians are there, 12 on either side symmetrically, and 2 more are one in the front and the back of our body. And acupuncture therapy also believes in balance, as I mentioned, and it is represented by what is called as yin and yang symbol. This is some symbol which you might have seen in several places, and is very popular picture today. So in this, what is happening is, there is something called as yin and yang. Yin is considered as the potential energy. Yang is considered as the dynamic energy. So yin is compared to female energy, passive, intuitive, creative, dark, stillness, cold, contracting. Please don't go by the words, but it means a lot of things. Don't go with the word that I'm associating female energy with yin or female energy with darkness. No. We all know today that dark energy, out of shunya, everything comes. So how important is yin? Just let us try to understand that. So in a balance of yin and yang is very important. The picture also tells, in the white space, there is a small black circle. In the whole black space, which is yin, there is a small white circle. What does that mean? Each one has to live with the other, just like 2 wheels of a car. How a marriage works only when husband and wife work together. That's how yin and yang are. In those terms, yang is nothing but the male energy or dynamic energy, which is active, which is light, dominating. Yes, that is innate nature, unfortunately or fortunately, and strong. Movement is necessary with yang. Hot in nature and expanding. I don't want to go to the lot of details of this, but I'm trying to correlate what is these energies all about. So in a consultation, we try to understand whether it is yin deficiency or yang excess, or yin excess, yang deficiency, how they both are related, and thereby which meridians, which pathways, or which organ systems are in a state of imbalance, and we treat them. That's how acupuncture works. So this is the one aspect. Next one, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, next one. So I've briefly already told you about all these aspects, what is acupuncture and how it affects our quality of life. So now we can understand how, when the state of balance is there, homeostasis is there, automatically disease can be managed as well. Of course, when we use different acupuncture points, it will also help on us to manage the pain management and nerve issues, improve the blood flow, reduce the inflammation. All those things happen. But at the same time, that is how we also work on the homeostasis. What all diseases can be worked upon through acupuncture? Because health is very important for quality of life. Different diseases also needs to be maintained. That's how it helps. Allergies, then we have thyroid issues we can work upon with acupuncture in disease management, heart issues, high cholesterol. Just last week, one of the patients whom we were treating for last 3 months, her all parameters, including thyroid, we have physical records to record it. Thyroid and the cholesterol, they were all excess. They were all excess. She's 62 years old, obese, and within 3 months, all the parameters were normal in the blood test, what we did recently. That's how effective, without any medication, working with acupuncture on specific points can make us a state of balance, leading to proper health. Type 2 diabetes, we have treated several cases which are giving very good results. Fertility, nausea, vomiting. There are a lot of people who use several points in acupuncture to maintain probably deal with nausea and vomiting because of some of them have travel sickness because of that, or during pregnancy, or because of GERD or stomach issues or GI issues. That also can lead to nausea, vomiting. We use the acupuncture points for them as well. Neurological disorders in early stages, it can be stroke, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. We can deal with all those aspects as well. Constipation, respiratory allergies, asthma, bronchitis, and excess diarrhea. So several issues, sinus issues, all these things can be dealt with in acupuncture because we can manage the disease. We reach a state of homeostasis. And is it only disease management? No. In case if you don't have any disease, health maintenance also is possible. I want to stress this more and more. We all think I have to go to the doctor only when I'm ill. No, there were times when doctors used to visit the homes as a family doctor. I still remember in my grandparents' home, almost 30, 35 years back, a doctor used to come every 2 weeks just to understand, is everyone healthy? Not to give any medication. So he used to just come and talk. What is happening with your food? How is he? Is he going to work? Is the old man fine? How is the young boy, the infant who has come in recently into the family? Just to talk about, understand everything and give some solutions if there is something wrong. So same way, acupuncture need not be done only when there is a disease. This is a very big misconception. It is necessary even when we have to maintain health. Health cannot be taken for granted. We have to work for health to be maintained. We are only working on the disease management. We are not working on health maintenance. When it comes to health maintenance, our priorities are low. It is not very important. We give all other things very big importance, but not health. And health is determined by what? Physical well-being, balance of energies in terms of chi and prana, emotional well-being, and intellectual integrity. So that's why it is very important for us to have acupuncture, even though if you don't have any diseases. I have quite a few patients who just come for maintenance of health, not because they have diseases. To a certain extent we can manage, after that we cannot. It saturates, but they come only maybe once a week, once in a fortnight, just to maintain what they have achieved. So health maintenance is also one of the factors. I have spoken enough and more in the previous slides about the emotional aspect, well-being, which is important for quality of life. Acupuncture is very, very important to maintain our emotions, because in a further one more slide, I'll tell you what happens and how it affects you. But in anxiety, depression, bipolar disorders, sleep issues, acupuncture has been great. I personally myself gone through a lot of anxiety issues during the second wave of pandemic, and acupuncture helped me to get out of it. Of course, a lot of other factors also help, but acupuncture took a major part of that to overcome. My family helped me a lot though. So it will also help because when the acupuncture needle is inserted, a lot of neurobiochemicals balance happens. That's why it will also affect our emotional health. I hope it's all clear. What I'm audible and clear, right?
Yes, sir, you are. Yes, sir.
Okay. And as I mentioned, homeostasis of energies, mental and emotional, intellectual integrity. See, intellect is always something which will also come into picture because it will always guide you the right way, which is the right path. It is just our mind and emotions which overpower our intellect and take its own decisions because of sensual attractions. So acupuncture indirectly, because of the homeostasis in the mind and emotional well-being, intellectual integrity will also come into picture. Clarity of thought will come into picture. That's how indirectly it will help even in that being, that frame of mind as well, intellect. Last but not the least, the spiritual well-being. It will always direct us to connect, be grounded, that we are part and parcel of this nature. We may be at the top of the pyramid in the creation, but we are still part of the nature. We have to adhere and accept there is a higher soul or universal soul. We call it as God Almighty based on different religions, but it doesn't matter. A connection with that will help us to ground a lot. So when we are in a state of homeostasis, spiritual well-being also comes to picture automatically. That's how acupuncture can make a big difference in our quality of life. So I hope I have made that point. Next one, yes. How acupuncture can help? This is what I was talking to about. Happiness chemicals and how to hack them. See, these are some of the 4 important neurotransmitters in our body. Dopamine, which is called as reward chemical. While eating food, we feel rewarded. Achieving a goal, completing a task, self-care activities, we feel very accomplished, feel very nice, happy feeling. Just for me, when a patient says that after treatment, oh, I'm feeling so good, that is a kind of sensation or a feeling what we get. What happens during that time? Dopamine rises. So acupuncture, when done, can help to balance all these neurotransmitters. We call them as happiness chemicals. So that's how it helps us to stay in a state of homeostasis and happy, contented feeling, leading to quality of life improving. Endorphins, which can happen through exercising, music listening, watching a movie, laughing also, laughter clubs. It's a big painkiller. Many a times you can whine off the pain with a good laughter, which we don't generally. That is an experience we might have had. I have seen that. When you laugh, your pains will come down because endorphins are released. Oxytocin, the love hormone, socializing, physical touch, petting animals, helping others, all these aspects will increase the oxytocin as well. That's what is a very important hormone which is required for feeding the infant from the mother. That is very, very important. Why now you must have understood breastfeeding is so important because of the physical touch and the bonding which develops between the mother and the infant. Oxytocin is responsible for that as well. Serotonin. Serotonin is something which will balance our moods. Sun exposure, see the environment, how it factors in the quality of our life. Mindfulness, being in the present situation, being in the present moment is something which will balance our serotonin. We are always either in the past or in the future. That's what makes us insecure, leading that the insecurity leading to a lot of other issues, which is not the point to be discussed now. Then being with nature. When we go out for a vacation or anything for that matter, just seeing a green field or a mountain or a river stream or even a shore of on the seaside is something which will boost our serotonin. That's why we feel so happy and our quality of life being so good. And we crave for it most of the time, isn't it? That's very important. Even meditation also makes the serotonin to stabilize. One good thing for all these things to be in state of balance, acupuncture alone can help. It increases the endorphin. It gives the oxytocin a balance. Serotonin and dopamine is also balanced because how confidently I can say about this is reason. Parkinson's is an old age disease wherein there are a lot of imbalances in dopamine and serotonin. Many a times, early cases of Parkinson's, when they come and we do acupuncture, these two, the symptoms vanish to a large extent in early stages because this dopamine and serotonin is balanced. What is the medication in the modern perspective is dopamine is given as a supplement. When we can do it within ourselves properly, why do we need a supplement outside? Only when it becomes beyond a certain limit and there is a lot of neurodegeneration, we need medication. I'm not denying about that, but we can also in early stages work with acupuncture. So that is one aspect. Yes, couple of case studies where quality of life was the focus for us in getting into acupuncture for a couple of cases. I've already discussed about one case, the chronic renal failure, which he had because of hypertension and diabetes. And you won't believe that after a month of treatment with acupuncture, his blood pressures have come down. The doctors have reduced his medication on just last week. The medication for hypertension has reduced, and his diabetes is much better in control. And he is feeling much more happy and balanced and confident about his health. Otherwise, he was like with so many conditions, chronic kidney disease, hypertension, diabetes, he's not able to function well. His energy levels are better. His sleep quality has improved to a large extent. That's what we have achieved through acupuncture. One more important case is cirrhosis. One gentleman came about 3 months back. His parents are living here, but he's in Saudi working, and he came due to pandemic, and he was working from home here. Now he just found us on the Google, and he came. And when he told that I have cirrhosis, his mother also came for some treatment, but we were treating her. Parallelly, he also wanted to avail. Let us see what is going to happen. His diabetes was so severe, and doctors had told him to lose weight. Your cirrhosis is bad. After COVID, it has happened to him. May not be because of COVID, but we generally link to it, but that may not be the case in his case. So they told you lose weight and manage your diabetes. It might help to a large extent. But parallelly, because cirrhosis, once it has happened, we can't reverse it. So they told you have to go for a transplant. And he did all the formalities to get a transplant done and waiting in the queue. So he told, can acupuncture do something for me? I told, I'm not sure about how acupuncture can help with cirrhosis, but let us give a try to improve your quality of life. I just did that by understanding the imbalances in his system through traditional medicine understanding. And we did the therapy for 3 months again, 2.5 to 3 months. You won't believe, when he went back to hepatologist in Chennai, he told, your cirrhosis is much, much better. I don't think so. We have to look for transplant now. We can wait for next 6 months. You don't need to see me. All his enzymes were normal. He has lost weight. His diabetes has come down to that extent that his diabetic medication was stopped. I'm being very proud, not being boasting about it. He did only thing is manage his food, do regular walking, and acupuncture. Only these three things we did. And his cirrhosis wasn't there when the test was done through blood test and the scanning as well. This is how it can help to a large extent. I'm not saying every cirrhosis case I can do this, but it can have an impact. We cannot negate it. Just because it is not happening, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. With that, I'd like to end my presentation here. You can ask any questions, and I'm ready to answer it.
Dear participants, if you have questions, please put it in the chat box. We will take questions one by one and answer it for you. Please put your questions in the chat box.
In case if you don't have any questions, I think we'll give a few minutes.
Yeah, we'll give them a few minutes to come up with their questions, and then we'll be able to answer them for you.
In the meantime, I'd like to share with you all that we conduct this webinar every month. Unfortunately, last month we could not. One of the Saturdays at 11 a.m. we take up different topics to discuss and talk, and also we invite some of the experts in some of the talks to share their thoughts about the health and disease. So please spread the word of the webinar. We usually get about 25. We restrict the number to 25. We had 25 registrations. Unfortunately, only 10 showed up for whatever reasons. So more and more number, when they come, will be more encouraged to do. We don't charge anything. We don't want to charge anything for these things, so that the message of health and well-being has to spread among the masses, which is more important rather than talking about disease management. So this is my humble request. Please share the information as much as possible next time when we share. And we will not spam you guys through the WhatsApp. We'll send only relevant information Unnecessarily, we don't want. Our goal and aim is only to share the information, not to spam anybody. The line is so thin today between the spamming and information giving. So unfortunately, that is the state we are in, because unwanted messages and advertisements come so much that many times we miss the necessary information as well. Whatever comes from our side, please understand it is not our intention to spam you.
We also request our participants to provide their suggestions for topics of webinars that you want us to conduct from the coming month onwards. We'll be happy to have those topics and have discussions like this. There's a question yes, Priyanka, please share your question.
Priyanka, you can go ahead and ask the question. Yeah. She tried acupuncture for her ligament injury and wants to, if she could, she should try this again after the problem is resolved. First, let us understand why that ligament injury has happened. If she has healed with acupuncture, great. After that, she can definitely continue acupuncture to prevent as well. May not be as frequently as when she has an injury, but at the same time, she has to understand why that injury has happened. What caused the injury? Maybe because of overweight or wrong movement, or not doing a right warm-up before doing any exercise, if it is because of exercise or sports injury or anything of that kind. So definitely we can help, because acupuncture, when done, which will balance the energies. And for ligament and musculoskeletal issues, we connect that to gallbladder meridian. So we can work on the gallbladder meridian to bring in a state of balance in those structures of the body. That would help her to prevent any further injuries. But if he or she is also overweight, she has to work on that. And she should be aware of her movements, his or her movements, wherein while putting any step forward, while doing any kind of exercise, right warm up, right guidance is very, very important to prevent any injuries further. I hope I have answered that. If you have follow-up questions, you can always ask.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Okay, sports injury was the cause. Okay. Sure. Thank you, Priyanka. Well, if there are no more questions, maybe we can conclude.
Yes, sir. Thank you, all the participants, for patient hearing, and thank you, sir, for very beautiful explanation of what quality of life is, first of all, because that's something that we all need to understand, and how acupuncture as a science and medical system can help in improving the quality of life of individual at different planes, not just from health perspective, but also emotional well-being, social well-being, and spiritual well-being. I think that was a very integrative and a very holistic explanation that you have given for the holistic treatment that you practice. Thank you very much, Dr. Gurudatta, and also all the participants for your patient hearing. We welcome the suggestions. Yes, sir, please.
Just one small information. I hope Shastri sir, who is on also webinar, he would understand that he is one of my very oldest clients who believes me and trusts me and comes for the treatment. And during the pandemic, he has not been able to come. He came for several issues, which I want to discuss here, but he was one of the one who was coming for quality of life, to maintain health. It's just an information. So how important it is for us to understand how acupuncture can help quality of life is what I'm trying to make my point here. Thank you so much.
Sir, he has also suggested for a webinar topic on naturopathy.
Yes.
So
We'll take it.
webinar on naturopathy that he wants us to do. So we'll be able to take that suggestion.
We'll plan one of them.
So we'll see you all in the next month for our webinar. If there's any health issue or disease management, health maintenance that you want us to consult for, please contact us at Anandamaya Wellness Center, and we'll be glad to help you there. Thank you for your patient listening. Have a great weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you.